So you have a group of friends, but you're not quite sure whether or not these are the type of people that you actually want to be long-term friends with. Maybe these friends are just in a different place than you. Maybe their values don't line up. Maybe you feel like you can't truly be yourself when you're with this person or with a group of friends. I've talked a lot about putting yourself out there and the importance of trying to make genuine connections, but I noticed I haven't really talked about the type of people that you want to be friends with. And of course, everyone's criteria on who's a good friend or who's a good person is going to be different. But in this video, I want to talk about some of the character traits that I look for in a good friend and some things to look out for in your friendships. Maybe it's a new friend or someone you've known all your life. Regardless, here are some things that I think are important, and both that person and you should have these qualities. Hi, my name's Noah. I'm a software engineer. On this channel, we talk about taking care of your relationships, your personal spaces, and everything else in between. So for each of these examples, a lot of them I've experienced personally in my life or I've seen in other people's friendships, but I think they're all pretty common and a lot of people will be able to relate to them. And it doesn't necessarily mean they're inherently a bad person, but I think some of these things you should watch out for when taking a friendship to the next level and considering whether or not this is a person or group of people that you want to invest time in, because at the end of the day we have a limited amount of time and energy, so you don't want to spend your time wasting it on someone that doesn't deserve it. So for this first example, I've totally experienced this in my own life, and this is when you feel like you need to be someone else around these friends. Say you met someone like out at the bar, maybe you guys only hang out when you go out on the weekends, and you might feel kind of stuck being that person around them, or feel like your relationship is predicated on the fact that you do XYZ with that person. And in high school, I really had a problem with like trying to fit in, and I felt like I always needed to change who I was to be accepted in the crowd. And it wasn't until college and a little bit later where I realized that who I am truly is someone that people want to be friends with. And of course, there's gonna be people that don't like you or don't like who you are, and that's totally fine. You don't want to be friends with people that don't appreciate you for who you are. I think the best friendships are those where you really feel like you can let your guard down and you're relaxed around people. I've had friendships where immediately I just completely hit it off with them, and I just totally felt like I could express myself. And then I've had other friendships where it takes a little bit more time to get to that comfortable place with that person. So again, I think if you feel like you need to be someone else to be friends with these people, I would highly consider reevaluating that friendship and kind of determining why you feel like you need to do that. My next kind of warning or observation that I feel is a sign of not a great friendship is if things feel very one-sided in either direction. Maybe you feel like you're always the one reaching out, and you might hang out all the time whenever you reach out, but those people never put in effort in the friendship. Things are great, but it feels like if you stopped texting first, they would never ask you to do anything. And this can be for friendships as well as like romantic relationships. You don't want to be in a situation where you're the one putting in too much effort, or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you don't feel the need to reach out to this person and they're always asking you and inviting you to do stuff. I think sometimes there can be a healthy balance of letting the other person contribute or have an idea. You don't always want to be the one reaching out, but if you feel like you don't have any actual desire to hang out with this person, but you're okay going along with it, maybe you should reevaluate that friendship and determine if that's someone you actually want to be friends with. Now, this next one's a little bit harder for me to define, but if you feel like your beliefs are different from, say, your friend or a friend group, it can be very challenging to navigate that, especially when you're desiring connection, you want to put yourself out there. And I think a telltale sign of a relationship not being something that's going to be able to be sustained or headed in the right direction is if you feel like your beliefs are always at odds with those around you or that person. While I think it is important to make sure your friends challenge your beliefs, and a lot of growth I've had has come directly from that, I think it's always important to make sure that that growth is challenging you to move towards something that you fundamentally agree with or you think is like fundamentally good. You don't want to be influenced negatively by those around you. Again, I think it is good to have friends that challenge you, but it's kind of on you to decide whether or not they're going to push you in a good direction or a bad direction. This next one, I've had a lot of experience in college with this, but at the end of the day, I think a good friend is someone that wants the best for you, regardless of what it costs them or how it makes them feel. Now, obviously, you don't want someone to benefit at the expense of you per se, but I had a lot of friends where, say I was doing well in a class or promotion or a job offer, it can be very telling to a person's character when you reveal something that's happened to you and they try to either diminish that or make that moment about themselves. Again, this is going to apply to romantic relationships as well, but you really want to be with friends that care for you and want what's best for you, regardless of their own position. Now, I've been on both the receiving end and been the person jealous of other people, so I totally get it, and it's something that I've had to work on. But I would be wary of people that might act like they support you, but when something's going well, at the end of the day, they're actually not too thrilled about that. And that can be really hard to notice, but I think it's important to keep like a sharp eye when it comes to things like that. I have a lot of anxiety myself when it comes to wondering whether or not people actually want to hang out with me or like actually like being around me. I don't know why I've always struggled with this, but it's something I do struggle with. But what has helped me kind of overcome this is really evaluate the friends that I do have and determine whether or not these are people that actually care about me, and do I care about them in the same way? Am I rooting for them? I think we can do a lot of self-evaluation with how we view friends and make sure people are reciprocating that same energy. But yeah, it is a tricky thing to do, especially when you're moving to a new city or you just started college and you're really trying to make as many connections as possible. But I think it's very important after you spend some time and you've gotten established to evaluate the quality of the relationships you have and choose selectively where you want to pour your energy into, because at the end of the day, we have a limited amount of time, especially after you're done with a full day of work. You don't want to be watering a dead plant, basically. But yeah, I think you're going to be fine. I hope you guys got something from this video. If you want to learn more about how I approach making new connections and putting yourself out there, I have some other good videos on that topic. But thank you so much for watching. That's all I have today. I'll see you in the next video.